As promised, we have Laura Heine here today. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
And she is going to show us Laura's bias ribbon flowers. And I love this quilt. Let's take a look at this quilt that you brought to show us.
Okay. What I do is I make the flowers with bias ribbon. The bias ribbon is cut 1 1/4 inches. And it's very important that you use, that the fabric that you choose has color on both sides. Because if you look at the flowers closely, the ribbon folds back and forth. And you want to make sure that you have color on both sides of your fabric.
So it's okay to use batiks. I mean,
yes,
look at these.
Yeah, batiks work very well for this technique as well as woven plaids.
Okay.
The quilt behind us was done with woven plaids, and I'm going to be working with batiks.
But you could put these on a quilt that you've already quilted, actually.
Yes, you could. Yes.
It's so cute. I can't wait to see it done.
Okay, let's get started.
All right.
So the first thing that we're going to do is take one of our bias strips and kind of just make a little bit of a stack of fabric here. And you're going to pull your machine over, and we're just going to do just a couple of stitches in place.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cut this thread with these nice scissors and just get it out of the way. Now, I'm going to move the machine with my right hand, and I'm going to adjust the fabric with my left hand. And it will take you 1 or 2 flowers to get the hang of this. Now you can see where my ribbon will kind of turn. And you can stitch on it upside down because that's why we're using batiks, so that it doesn't have to lay perfectly flat all the time.
It's nice to have that regulated stitch for this.
It is. This
Yeah.
is where that does come in handy. I can do it at home, of course, without the regulation, but it does make it a lot easier.
So you just don't have to worry if it turns on itself?
No, you don't have to worry. In fact, it kind of makes it more interesting if it turns on itself. Now,
so cool.
Yeah, and you can see where the strip went upside down, and I just stitched over it again. And I'm not worrying about getting my stitches right in the middle of that ribbon either. That's really not that important either.
See, I think I would really worry about that. I mean,
no,
that would be,
yeah,
so
I know.
I'm glad you told me.
Yeah, it takes a flower to actually get comfortable without worrying about trying to make it perfect. Because actually the messier your ribbon is when you stitch it down, the prettier your flower will look.
Oh, that is so cool. And then if you wash it, it will fray just a little bit?
A tiny bit it will, but since it's a bias ribbon, you're not going to get a whole lot of fraying. And then if you can just kind of make your own garden, however you want. And if you wanted to make this flower bigger, which I will do that, you just take another strip and just add it in.
Look at that. This is so fun because you can go back and put this on another quilt.
It
Maybe
is,
that you
yes.
needed something on.
Yes.
Or shams or anything.
You can kind of create your own garden. And if that's as big as the flower is that you want, then all you have to do is really cut your strip off, secure your stitches there, and you're ready to go on to another flower.
Awesome. Awesome.
Let's add another flower right by this. You can see how I'm just stitching up to it. And now I'm going to continue going around. And this flower is going to run into my other flower a little bit, and that's okay. Because in real life, that's how flowers are. And we'll make this flower smaller, so we'll cut that strip there. And there's that flower.
Very cool. And these are, and then you can add some leaves?
Yes. Leaves. In my pattern, I give you 2 different leaf shapes. This is the hollyhock leaf shape, and then there's also the rose leaf shape, which I'll show you later.
Okay.
You can rough cut them. The hollyhock flower leaf is sort of a irregular heart shape. And I try to keep them pretty much true to what the actual leaf looks like. And what you do with the leaves is you want to stitch around the outside. And we don't have to use spray adhesive or anything. Just stitch around it 2 times. And then we're going to add the stems within the leaf. The hollyhock veins of the leaf sort of come out of one central point, if you're familiar with hollyhocks.
And I love that variegated thread. What
Yes,
thread are you using?
this is the Wildlife Fusion thread that I designed, and it's a heavier weight cotton thread, which makes it very visual. Now, I build my hollyhock from the bottom up. So I start at the bottom of my quilt and work up. If you look at the quilt behind us, you can see where the hollyhock is fuller down on the bottom, and it goes up skinnier on the top.
I love that. And that's in your pattern.
Yes.
That we can go to your website and order that pattern.
Yes.
That is so fun. Let's take a look at the one that has the roses on it.
Okay, this is the example that I was telling you about making roses. And basically the only difference between the hollyhock flower and the rose is the shape of the leaf. And this leaf is also in my pattern. You can create your own flower garden just by being creative. You know, look at what's around you and create your flower garden that way.
I like these. These are a little bit different fabric.
Yes.
What fabrics are these?
This is a shot cotton, and it's also a woven fabric. In this case, when I went to stitch down these petals, I combined 2 strips at the same time. So that's why you kind of get that color variegation.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Yes.
And again, the variegated thread, the
yes,
YLI.
this is the Wildlife Fusion again. Very thick visual thread. And I like to use that on my leaves and as well as in the flower because it just adds another texture and another dimension.
It really does. It looks so pretty. Another thing that caught my eye, Laura, was this beautiful edge that you have on here with this binding. Tell us about that.
Okay, it's basically pretty simple. Once you get your quilt done, then you can use my scallop pattern and scallop your edges.
Okay.
Then with your leftover bias strips that you didn't use to make your flowers, you can just miter them, join them, and finish your quilt.
And that ties it all together and looks so professional.
Thank you.
It really looks
Thank
great.
you.
So we can get that pattern too.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.